Howdy, 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 everybody. Thank you for joining us on the opening day of the second annual Open Wheels 500-mile race presented by Mitchell Transmissions. Today's press conference will open the festivities for this month's race, which will be held on Sunday, November 15th, and shown live by RaceSpot TV at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Our guests today include Tanner Watkins, president of the Open Wheels 500-mile race presented by Mitchell Transmissions. Tanner, we will begin with you. Could you speak on the return of the Open Wheels 500 for a second year, and what are you excited about?
Yeah, thank you, Austin, for joining us this morning as our moderator. Happy to have you back for a second year. And thanks for everybody who's tuning in and everybody who's been a part of the planning for this year's Open Wheels 500. Last year we had a great event, our inaugural event that brought in 104 drivers on our 2019 entry list, and Michele Costantini won that inaugural race last year. Very clean race with just a couple cautions, and we were very pleased with the product. And now coming back this year for our second event, where through the summer we weren't particularly sure if we'd get the chance to have another Open Wheels 500 this year with all the changing conditions with COVID and whatnot, and some things in my personal life, and thankfully it all worked out, and we've brought the event back to really widespread support here in 2020. We've got an entry list now that tops 110 drivers, so we got over the mark that we set last year. We've improved our number of former winners of top split iRacing Indy 500s in the field from 10 last year to 14 this year, and more than a field full of drivers with top split experience making starts in the top split iRacing Indy 500 in this year's field. So we've got another fantastic group of drivers that will be taking part in this year's race and fighting for that milk bottle again here in 2020. So I'm excited about that. Thankfully, we brought in another great class of competitors, but further excited about expanding our partnership with RaceSpot TV. Not only will RaceSpot continue to carry our race day broadcast, as you mentioned, it kicks off at 11:30 a.m. on November 15th, but they'll also again provide final hour coverage of both Pole Day on November 7th and Bump Day on November 8th. Both of those broadcasts starting at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. But they've also added coverage of our qualifications draw this coming Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, as well as the Veterans 100 qualifications on Friday, November the 13th, and coverage of the Veterans 100 and the pit stop competition. Those support events will run the day before the Open Wheels 500 on Saturday, November the 14th, and coverage of those events begins at 2 p.m. Eastern Time with the Veterans 100. So very excited to expand on our partnership with RaceSpot. We've really gotten to grow with them, and that's something that I've been very pleased with over the last year. And then on the Open Wheels side, we're expanding our coverage to include video elements right here on Open Wheels TV, and that'll carry all of our practice coverage as well as the qualifications coverage that's not covered by RaceSpot TV, in addition to the nightly streaming show that we air on select practice days titled Today at the 500, which will also carry our pre-race show on race day. That'll begin at 9 a.m. Eastern. So really we've taken a great product in 2019 and tinkered with it just a little bit. We were very pleased with how things went procedurally last year, but we've done just a few things that we think will make it even better for 2020. And thankfully the drivers have come out in support of that, because we've got even more entries and a tougher field than what we had last year, and we were very pleased with that in 2019.
Indeed, everyone was. It certainly is a amazing month of November coming up For those who are new to this event and who don't know, what makes this event special or unique to the other 500-mile races at Indianapolis on the iRacing platform?
Yeah, I mean, the iRacing Indy 500 is an event that I enjoy taking part in, but really this event was born out of some things that I felt could be added to a sim racing 500. And so, what we do is we try to perfectly replicate the experience of the Indianapolis 500 and bring it to a sim racing platform. And that includes authentic 2 day qualifications, more set in the traditional old school style where we pick the pole winner on the first day of qualifying, and then the final day of qualifications is bump day. And thankfully, with our large field, we'll have plenty of bumping going on, which will even begin on Saturday and move through Sunday. So we're very excited about that portion of it. But we also have the 3 wide start, a lot of pre-race ceremonies that bring the pageantry of the 500 that you see each Memorial Day weekend at Indianapolis. We've got that on our pre-race show. Just authentic media coverage and stewarding of this race that we really feel helps put together a real product that we can be proud of, that represents the 500 that we all love and know, but also gives drivers in sim racing the chance to experience some of those thrills and the highs and the lows that Indy inevitably brings. So we work really hard to try to replicate the 500 experience that you see each May, and bring that to the iRacing platform, because we felt there was a void there, and thankfully last year we did a pretty good job of filling it.
It certainly y'all did fill it, especially with last year's race. You mentioned the competition and the massive bumping that's going to be here this year. There's 110 entries. You want to talk about the competition?
Yeah, no, I'm very, very pleased, like I said, to not only have the folks return from last year's race. We had about 50% of that group come back for the 2020 event, but we've also had a bunch of newcomers emerge that we weren't necessarily counting on. We hope to get back to that 100 entry mark in 2020, and really what we did was surpass that and get to 110, or I'm sorry, the 100 car mark that we got to last year. We surpassed that this year. So, like I said, we've got 14 former winners of a major 500 on iRacing on our entry list this year. That includes Adam Blocker, Simon Bryant, Jason Brophy, Joshua Chin, Michele Costantini, Christopher Demeritt, Tim Doyle, Austin Espetie, Ray Kingsbury, Andrew Kinsella, Brendan Lichtenberg, Young O, Matt Pavelski, and the reigning iRacing Indianapolis 500 champion, Brandon Traino. So we've improved the number of former winners on the entry list. We've got 29 of the 33 race starters from last year's OpenWheels 500 are back. Both our race winner, Michele Costantini, who I previously mentioned, and the pole sitter, Young O, are back. And it's 48 drivers on this year's OpenWheels 500 entry list that have made at least one start in an iRacing Indy 500 top split race. That's up from 45 last year. And so we're just really proud of the depth on this year's entry list and the diversity. We've got not only 69 drivers coming from the United States, but 41 entrants coming from international countries that range from Canada to Italy, Spain, Germany, Australia, New Zealand. So we've just got so many talented competitors on this year's entry list that really the headlines set themselves. I mean, we haven't had to work too hard to help promote this race, because the depth and the richness of this class really has set forth perhaps the most competitive field in any iRacing Indy 500 event ever. And with that, plus the expectations that we're going to top our pole record from last year, everything is really building into a great month of November that we can be very proud of, and we're going to work hard to ensure that that happens.
One last question for you. There is extended streaming coverage of the Open Wheels 500 here in 2020. You mentioned that earlier. Would you mind giving us a detailed rundown of where we can catch the on-track action during the month of November?
Of course, yeah, no, it's we're again really excited to have essentially every second of on-track activity covered this year at the Open Wheels 500 between Race Spot TV and Open Wheels TV. So, Race Spot TV, you can find them and their broadcasts on YouTube. The race itself will be shown on the iRacing Esports Network, so it'll be easily accessible via that form of broadcasting. For our practice shows as well as today at the 500, all you have to do is go to open-wheels.com/TV, and you'll be able to access all of our practice and today at the 500 shows, as well as the qualifications live stream that'll happen before we go on air on Race Spot TV. And one thing that we're excited about with the Open Wheels coverage, not only do we get to bring you more practice coverage here in the month of November, but we're very excited to bring in some additional cameras that'll help our production value. We have a special theme that we'll unveil today with our first broadcast at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So very excited for that. And anybody who's a traditional fan of IndyCar racing over the last 25 years will recognize the theme pretty quickly. So looking forward to that. We've got some other tricks up our sleeve for the qualifications broadcast, the qualifications draw show, and the race broadcast, all on Race Spot TV. So with those elements in place, we really think that we've upped our production level for 2020 that certainly will help enrich the experience of those viewing our races, as well as those who want to follow along on OpenWheels.com, because we've got some coverage plans laid out that'll help people stay up to date with what's happening at the track, even if they can't watch a broadcast for a day or two. So we're looking forward to bringing people the best coverage of this year's race and really making it feel like the world-class event that it is.
Awesome. I do have a question from a few of the community members. Will the replays of each session be available for drivers to view and download on the Open Wheels 500 site?
Yeah, we do store the replays, and if interested individuals would like those to be made available, then we can certainly save those replay files and have them placed on a server that's readily accessible by the public. So if there's demand for that, then we can make it happen.
I'm pretty sure there will be, especially from drivers looking to improve on their iRacing 500 experience and get close to the times that these guys are putting up here. And with that, that will conclude today's press conference. Thank you for attending today, and we will see y'all later this afternoon.